you are part of the team responsible for Void. Would you like to introduce yourselves to the audience?
Okay. Hello, I'm Ollie. I'm a designer, mainly level design within the team. I generally just sort of focus on, general just sort of level designs, the way couch go through the paths, etc., etc. And yeah, that's generally my sort of role.
Yeah, I'm Kim. I'm the writer, and I've sort of been the producer for most of the year. So I'm sort of just in charge of narrative and managing and sort of controlling people to make sure they do the right things. But yeah,
it sounds very sinister when you put it that way. I'm sure it wasn't quite as like do the thing. No, it's fine.
Do you guys want to give us a brief explanation of what your game is, what it's about, and what kind of game it is?
You got this.
Yeah, so Void is a 2D Metroidvania sort of platformer that's main focus is gravity-defying gameplay, exploration, and meaningful progression. He plays Jin, this scientist engineer guy who's been tasked to go and get into this old research facility and investigate this failing experiment that contains a black hole, and if it does fail, then the world will end. So the stakes are pretty high.
Cool, right, I think I'm playing this. Usually my first response when loading up a shooting game is to try and test all the menu items and see if they all work.
There is some funky
oh, look at that! That's a nice little transition. Dual control screen works. Very nice. Good control screen. This is riveting gameplay. And credits.
Look at that.
You have passed the Archie test of pressing all of the buttons and seeing if they break anything. I won't try quit because
we're going to assume that one.
Oh, 2 players. Can we?
You can do if you want, but
do we have a second controller set up?
We have 4 controllers.
It doesn't look as pretty as the main
this is
game,
kind of like
but
an
it does
extra
work.
mode.
Would you
so
like me
don't
to
worry.
play single player?
Yeah, do the single player first.
Yeah, maybe we'll jump into multiplayer at the end. So you said you did the you managed production. It's always interesting seeing students sort of take on the producer role. Like, what kind of challenges did you find you ran into with that?
I think just like when it came to decisions and things, sort of just trying not to sort of be overbearing and make sure everyone's sort of voices are heard. But I think was sort of the main challenge. But I think just also keeping on top of like the management and stuff, and just like keeping track of all the tiny things that are involved in development that and things fall through the cracks and you lose them, and then going back and finding those, making sure they're finished and things.
So on the vein of keeping on top of everything, is there any particular advice that you would throw out to people who are also going to try and take on the kind of producer role as pro strats that you've learned from your trials and tribulations?
Use things like Trello or like a Kanban board or things like that, and just write down everything, break every task into its smallest component. Because if you bring up one thing in a playtesting session and you're like, oh, let's fix this one thing, write that down, because you're definitely going to forget about it, because everything else becomes so important that you forget all the little tiny tweaks that the details make the big difference, I find, with a polished product, I guess.
So we can see here, I assume this is our first of maybe a couple of upgrades, so we can now push objects.
Yeah.
There's a note up here.
Press the back button to see.
That
one. At a 50-50 chance there. Okay, so we've got quite a few notes here.
Yeah, so those are the letters
the
from the
initial
cutscene at the start.
That's a nice detail that you have those letters.
So
Quakes.
with the kind of team that you had, what was the sort of composition? What was the kind of mix of disciplines that you had?
So there's 9 of us in total. So 1 writer, which is me, 2 designers, 4 artists, 1 programmer. Oh, and there was another sort of just do everything sort of designer that just helped with audio and things.
Yeah. Cool. It's a good mix.
Yeah.
So did the game change much from your initial concept that you started with to what you ended up actually making? Or did it end up being pretty much what you set out to make?
I think the core of the game, with the gravity mechanics and the general narrative has stayed basically the same. But I think all of the sort of details and peripherals of the game are the things that changed and we sort of iterated on. So like the mechanics and stuff weren't nailed down at the start, so they changed a few times, and then we've ended up sort of with the 4 core mechanics we've got now.
I appreciate the slight animation of the heads.
Yes, that's nice.
It's a very small
detail.
thing, but it's nice. It's nice that they're not just fully static.
Yeah, originally this was much more zoomed out, like they were still just in the level, and you couldn't even tell that their heads were moving. But this is like makes it much more obvious.
No, it's nice. It's a very small detail, but it's one of those little things that gives a little bit more life to it.
Yeah.
It's always those small little final polish details that actually end up adding a huge amount of value to the game.
Yeah.
I think people often forget that. You get tied up building these big sweeping systems and massive levels and stuff, but it's those little polish things that really tie stuff together.
Speaking of little polish things, what's your favorite little bit of polish, little thing that you were like, oh, we should do this?
I don't know.
Honestly, I feel like that it was like that like little like effect with the little shaking and stuff. I feel like originally we didn't have that at the start, and then that like little shaking effect that we added just made it feel like, and then we had like little vibrations on the controller as well. Like it was like a small touch, but it just made it feel like that whole like section feel a lot more impactful, I feel.
Yeah.
I know it's a small thing, but it's nice that when you open up the logs, it opens up the one that you just collected.
Yeah.
That's rather than having to navigate
Through
through.
all of them.
Oh god,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a new sticker on it that says, this is the new one, and you have to go through like 800 logs to find the new one. It's great.
But yeah, it's something that very few people actually end up like doing, because
Yeah.
you get so used to when you're testing these games, like going through and navigating
Yeah.
the menus. But for a new player, like I did that. It's like, it did the thing I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
And it's gotten like friction out of the way of me enjoying the game and like pressing the buttons in order to enjoy the game. The note collection's quite cool. It's a nice mix of like, you know, text-based notes and like little concept art pieces that you've got as well, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's the kind of rewarding to find rather than, you know, every 3 steps, here's a note, read it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's,
I wanted to make sure with the collectibles that while a few of them do have like kind of a few slabs of text, they're pretty text like free, and it's more there's a couple images, so even if you just kind of glance at it, you can get something from it instead of just like reading a whole like diary entry of someone.
Yeah, that is a slight pet peeve of mine. Is the like, if we just add more, it'll be better.
I like that as a puzzle. That's a good one.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
I
God.
see
Oh,
now.
What have I done? What have I done? Oh, I see. Okay,
This
that
is one of
makes
those-
sense.
I've played VVVVV. This is a Will level.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
There we go.
Easy,
Okay.
first try.
Yeah. The great thing is I'm editing this, so I can edit that out.
Yeah.
I can make myself look amazing at this.
He's going to speed up the gameplay footage, so he's just so fast. It's great.
You know, segment's going to be like 10 minutes. Oh, no.
It's okay. I'll come back up on this platform.
There you go. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I need to put it up there. Okay. And then... Oh,
Almost.
so close.
It's really nice to see, you know, a team that says, you know, they're making a Metroidvania that actually has you backtracking through a level.
Yeah.
Because so often we see that, like, it's a Metroidvania that you travel down a corridor. And it's like,
Yeah.
so it's nice to see that this actually is kind of encompassing all of the mechanics of building out a toolkit and then, you know, being able to now access certain areas that you weren't able to before by using your expanded toolkit. So it seems like you've actually done a very good job of, you know, making the thing that you said you've made.
That was one thing that we definitely focused on within development was how can we sort of make sure that we're staying true to sort of Metroidvania style game. So every sort of area we're looking at, how does everything sort of work together? And yeah, definitely.
So obviously, you know, there's a lot here. You have a decently sized level and everything else. If you had to, at a push, right now, redevelop it all, no. But if you had to say there was one thing that you would have loved to have added that you maybe didn't get time for, or, you know, something that you might have had to cut, is there anything that you think, if you could do this again, we would love to have included this? Or is there some kind of feature, another area, you know, is there anything that you feel like you would have loved to have done with some more time?
I actually think like fully develop the little 2-player section that you and Sam worked on.
Yeah.
Because people actually found that quite fun, and being able to use the push and pull with 2 different characters, you can actually like pull blocks in quite interesting ways. So just like fully going with that and making levels using the 2-player would probably be like the way to go for us.
Yeah.
Some like Portal 2-esque.
Yeah, definitely.
That's perfect.
I thought you were gonna have to jump back off and like do a really awkward time. To,
Yeah, I thought that as well, but no, it slid on there perfectly. That was nice. Oh, it's taking me this way. I like the 2D lighting you got there with the platforms as well.
Can you figure it out? Is the question.
Is there something I pull towards me?
I'll give you a hint. You've gone past it already.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
the combo,
there you
push
go.
pull. Oh, nice. So if you had to, say what your absolute favorite part of the development process was, what would you say?
I personally would say that like sort of sandboxing and figuring out like there's different level designs that we can do for like different mechanics. Because it's really interesting when we sort of have an idea, and so we sort of go off to our programmer saying, look, make this, and then we actually get the mechanic. And so it's like, oh, what can this do? Can we, we can pull blocks in this way. Oh, what if we did this? And sort of changing it slightly and giving things, like sort of different values for doors, speeds, etc.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say it's just sort of playing around with it and playing with mechanics and seeing what interesting things you can do. Definitely is interesting.
I see what I'm meant to do.
I mean, other acceptable answers was, demoing it here with us. But
That too.
yeah,
That too.
it's fine.
That's just a given, though.
I was not doing very well at that. All right, I can do this.
And I like that you have sensible checkpoints as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. That's a definitely thing that we went through multiple in development. We were like, add loads of checkpoints. Go.
Yeah. Particularly for play testing, it was like having to,
Definitely.
if you died and you had to redo a really
The
big
whole
section.
level, yeah, pretty much.
It just took so long.
Yeah.
Wee. Oh, I didn't see that.
That's
I
pretty
didn't
much
see
it,
that.
to be fair. That's pretty much the end of the level. There you go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
so
you
that
go.
level would have just had a few of the objectives from the previous level, like in this. So there
Yeah.
would have been more backtracking, but just to like, for the sake of time, we just condensed a few things.
Yeah.
Okay,
definitely
yeah.
for experience.
No, it's good.
Yeah, it's a
to
really good game.
constrain it. I think it's one of those games that is great for Expo because you can get people in, you can have them play. If they die, you can be like, cool, next person,
Yes.
just like suplex them out your
Yeah.
booth. Don't actually, for the record, please, nobody suplex
Oh, I
anyone.
was going to do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Expo
do
is
not-
sort of still in the first couple of days, but how has it been for you guys?
It's been fairly busy, but I think we've been all right, to be fair.
yeah, has it been
Yeah.
fun showing off your
Yeah,
games, seeing
definitely.
people play it?
Yeah, it's been good. Like I think people have been enjoying this and like getting on well with it. Like it's not too challenging, but it does require some people to kind of think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
It's also
Yeah.
nice to hear some good feedback as well. It's nice, say, working on it over the past year. It's definitely nice to sort of get some nice feedback from it as well. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a nice way to sort of finalise the
Yeah.
development of it. It's like, cool, it's done.
definitely.
Put it out there to people and watch them play it, and
Exactly, yeah.
yeah.
So I guess we're kind of at the wrap-up point.
We have
but
the main question, the big one. Do you want to ask it?
No, you can ask
Oh,
it.
no.
If your game was an animal, what animal would it be?
Go on. I think, Kim, you can only answer this one, to be honest. You're the best one to answer
the
this one.
first thing that came to mind was a monkey,
Monkey. Is there a particular reason for that?
just because they're very like they move around a lot and they climb and they're very like dynamic creatures, so they kind of go up and down things,
Yeah.
which I guess is kind of what the mechanics are like.
Yeah,
So-
no, I can completely see that. That's a very sensible answer for a not very sensible question.
Yeah. So thank you both, obviously, for making the time to answer our questions and showcase your game to everyone. So if people want to play this, obviously they can play down at Expo. But otherwise, where can they find this?
So it's hosted on itch.io, and it'll be included with the Expo Game Jam with, like collection of games as well. So
Brilliant.
Any other shameless plugging that you want to do? Any socials or anything?
I'm
Whilst
good.
we have you?
I'm
No?
good.
Okay.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
coming on,
No worries.
and
Thanks
enjoy
for
the
having
rest of Expo.
Yeah,
Cheers,
cheers,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.